Hi everyone, this is Peter, Thailand bound. Welcome back to the channel. If you've stumbled upon this channel by accident, just a little bit of a warning, I do discuss things of an adult nature, so if you're easily offended, perhaps now would be a good time to kind of go off and watch something else, all right? So now that I've explained that, this is going to be the third in a series of videos for newbies to Thailand. So we're talking pre-pandemic, before everything went haywire, as it were. And I've already made a couple of videos, and if you're an experienced traveler, you're a single guy, you go out to the bars in Pattaya, Bangkok, wherever it is, and you know all the tricks and games, then this video probably isn't for you either. It's strictly for, as I say, there's a lot of guys watch the channel and they've never been to Thailand before, but they've engaged with me and they said, look, now I've been watching your videos, I've learned a lot and I'm planning to go out to Thailand.
สวัสดีค่ะ
So today I'm going to discuss the role of mamasans in the bars all over Thailand. So you're talking Phuket, Bangkok, Pattaya, Hua Hin, all the bars, most of the bars, well, all the bars I would say, whether they're beer bars or GoGo bars, they have mamasans. And to understand the role of a mamasan, that's she basically looks after the girls. So imagine the bar as two businesses in one. So on one side you've got an establishment, a bar that sells alcohol. Now, in order to sell that alcohol, they need to entice people into that bar. If somebody just wanted to have a glass of beer, they could simply go to 7-Eleven and get it a lot cheaper than that bar. So they need to encourage people into that bar. So the bar is one standalone business. You've got the bar, the waitresses, the door staff, the cashier, all that sort of thing. That's one business. And the second part of the business is the girls, the dancers, or the girls who sit in the beer bars and they'll play Connect 4 with you and everything. And that's run by, them girls are run by a mamasan. Now, normally when a mamasan comes along to a bar or she leaves a bar, she'll have her own group of girls. And if she leaves, they'll normally leave with her. Or if a bar gets a new mamasan, then those girls, she'll bring along half a dozen, maybe girls of her own. Now, she rules those girls with an iron fist. They respect her. They look at the mamasan almost as if she's a surrogate mother. They'll go to her for advice, maybe tap her up for a loan if they're a bit short, that sort of thing. But when they come down from wherever they live, the mamasan will be, like I say, a kind of surrogate mother who kind of gives them advice. But they are very tough with the girls. You know, they keep them in line. They've got to, otherwise they'd run riot. So that's really the role of the mamasan. She's looking after the girls. The bar is dealing with the drinks. And it's two businesses there, and generally speaking, the mamasan side of thing is really she's kind of she's an in-between the guys who go into the bars as customers and the girls dancing. She's kind of like an in-between person, and she brings it all together, that side of the business. Okay, so now that you understand that, let's talk about the mamasan engaging with you as a customer and the girls. Now, a lot of the girls, especially if they've come down from villages, their English won't be very, very good. And the mamasans most of the mamasans, they've been around for a long time. You know, a lot of them will be 50 plus. They'll have come down to a place like Pattaya when they were quite young, maybe started off, or Bangkok rather, in a very popular GoGo bar. And then, you know, maybe done that for a few years. After that, they would have maybe lost their looks a little bit, but they're still kind of attractive. So then they maybe move to a beer bar, or they might have had children. The body's not kind to women when they've had children. So they might move from, you know, dancing in a bikini to then sitting in a beer bar and playing games with customers. And then a little bit later on, she's still getting older. She'll get to the point where business is real slow, and at that point she's very experienced. She knows all the tricks and games. She's very familiar with foreign customers. Her English is now quite good with most of them, and at this point in their lives, they normally it's kind of more fruitful for them to go into a bar and become a mamasan and look after girls. And the good mamasans, they have a lot of girls with them, and a lot of the bar managers are very they really look after the mamasans, because they are afraid that if the mamasan leaves the bar, then obviously the girls will go and then they'll really be in big trouble. Okay, so now we've cleared the ground, as it were, you know what their role is. Let's talk about some of the do's and don'ts when you go into bars. And remember, again, just a reminder, this video is for guys who's never been to Thailand before. Let's talk about the mamasan, how she sizes you up. As I've already said, they've got a lot of experience behind them. And when you walk into a bar, the Mamasan will clock you walking in. She'll look over and she'll make a judgment on how you dress, how you look. Now, if you go in there with a vest with a Singer logo on the front of it, a pair of shorts and a pair of sandals without socks, and you've got a cheap watch on, she'll look at you and she'll think, you know, she's not going to put a lot of effort and time into you. She'll say hello, she'll be polite, but she's not going to try to really sell her girls to you, because she's going to look at you and think, you know, he doesn't really have a lot of money. Look at the state of him, how he's dressed. Some guys do have a lot of money and they just dress like that. We understand that, but they kind of judge people on the way they dress. Now, on the other hand, if you walk in there and you're wearing a nice pair of tailored pants, a nice shirt, doesn't necessarily have to have a tie, you know, open, and you nice watch and maybe a gold chain, ring, whatever like that, she'll look at you and she'll decide that, you know, you are somebody, you've got a bit of money behind you, and she'll put the effort in. So she'll introduce herself. She'll certainly try and introduce you to some of her more popular girls, and she'll just tend to look after you a bit better. So they do, unfortunately, it is all on look, on dress. So as I say, if you're going in an old t-shirt, they just don't look at you the same as if, you know, you're wearing some nice clothes, and that's basically how they size you up. Okay, so when I better put this one in there, but when does a Mamasan decide that you're basically a waste of time? So she's been over to you, you haven't bought her a drink, you're not interested in talking to you, you're a bit offish with her, and she gets to the point where she thinks this guy's a waste of time. They're very, very good, they're very professional, they know how to get in and out of situations. Now, if you've been sat there for a while and the Mamasan's been stood there and you've been trying to ignore her, but she's still there, she'll get to the point where she decides this guy's a waste of time, I'm not going to put any more effort in. And what they'll normally do, they'll tap you maybe, look at the stage, and she'll get her hand and she'll just go like that, like point to the girls, and then she'll walk off. And that's her kind of polite way of getting out of that situation. So you probably already know from my other videos that any drinks that you buy for girls, Mamasans, anybody like that, they get a cut of the drink, they get a commission. So if the drink's say 150 baht in a bar, they might get 50 baht, 70 baht, I don't know. It changes from bar to bar. So the Mamasan will also be very, very interested in collecting drinks from customers throughout the night, because obviously the more drinks she has, then the more commission she's going to make. And over a month, that really does add up. So they're a little bit more subtle because they're experienced. They're not, they don't come up to you like the girls do and say, can you buy me a drink? Some of them do, but they've got more subtle ways to entice you to buy them a drink. So what are the benefits of buying a drink? Should you buy her a drink? If you go into that bar as a one-off and you just want to chill out and have a drink and then leave, then there's no point really. You're just throwing your money away, aren't you? But if you go into a bar regular, or you've gone into a bar, you see a lot of pretty girls and you think, well, I'd like to take one of these girls out of this bar and take her back to my hotel to continue drinking, just one-on-one. And the benefits, obviously, the obvious benefits are if you do buy the Mamasan a drink, then obviously she's going to warm to you a little bit more, and she'll give you some history on the girls, which girls are good company, which ones are a little bit hard work, that sort of thing. So generally, if you're going into a bar on a regular basis, or you go into a bar as a one-off and you see a lot of pretty girls, yeah, it's worth buying the Mamasan a drink, but that's always entirely your choice. Okay, so I just want to explain a little bit about, I've already touched on the background of the Mamasans. So, most of them, they've been through the hoops, as it were. They started off young, as I said, in GoGo bars and beer bars. Some of them try massage parlors, soapy massage parlors. They go on dating apps. Now, what you might not realize is some of them, quite a few of them actually, have already been married to foreigners, so they know how foreigners' brains ticks. It's not like when you talk to the girls, you can tell stories and they'll believe some of what you say, not all of what you say. With the Mamasans, a lot of them are very experienced with foreigners. They speak very good English. A lot of them, they've been to Australia, they've been to the UK, they've been to America. They might have married. You'll always get guys who go into them bars, fall in love with girls when they're younger, marry them, it doesn't work out. They come back to Thailand and they go back into what they know, which is if they're getting on a bit now, if they've been married, if they were working in a bar, they've been married 5-10 years and she's had to come back to Pattaya, then obviously she's got to continue working. So there's no point in giving a Mamasan BS, lying, because they'll see straight through you, and she'll lose any respect that she had for you. As I say, they are very experienced. Most of them, a lot of them have been abroad, and those who haven't been abroad have normally had long-term foreign boyfriends or sponsors who have looked after them. So they know how you think. So you know, it's just not worth going in there and telling them stories. Just, it's better to just be truthful, and you'll get on a little bit better with them. Right, here's one that comes up quite often. I've been around the bars with friends many times over the years, and one of the questions that comes up, they'll say, can you bar fine a mamasan? Can you take, if you don't know what a bar fine is, you pay the bar to compensate them to take a girl out to join you for a meal or something like that. So the question is, can you bar fine a mamasan? So the obvious question to that is, as most of them are, well, all of them are ex-working girls, then yeah, of course you can. But is it a good idea? No, it's not. I've seen a lot of guys, especially newbies to somewhere like Pattaya, they see it as a challenge that, you know, here's the mamasan who runs all these beautiful girls, you know, and they want to bar fine her because it is a challenge to them. But it's a big mistake, really. The last experience I had of that, where I seen a guy bar fine a mamasan, he bought the mamasan a couple of drinks. Of course, she lapped it up. It was about midnight. He wanted to bar fine her. He paid the bar, expecting her to go and get her coat, but of course she's the mamasan. She said, look, you'll have to wait for me, the bar closed at 2. So the poor guy had to sit there 2 hours and wait for her to finish, a bit more than 2 hours actually, because the bar closed at 2 hours, but they have to clear up, don't they? And then the other thing is where he's lost out, or where you'll lose out if you take up that challenge, is of course the girls are very loyal to the mamasan. They wouldn't dare step on her feet. They'll all know that you have been out with a mamasan. The word will go around that bar really fast, and the next time you go into that bar, girls will come up and joke with you, and you say, oh, you boyfriend mamasan, and you won't get a look in with anybody, because as far as them girls in that bar are concerned, you are now the boyfriend of that mamasan. That is how they think. I know it's crazy. You watch this and you think, you know, one night of company, how can they think that? But they do think that, and they are afraid of the mamasan to step on her toes, as I say. So it's not a good idea. Yes, it's a challenge, but it's not much of a challenge because they'll say yes anyway. Okay, so let's now, we've been going for about 12 minutes. I just want to tell you about some of the white lies that the mamasans tell you. So these are, you know, obviously she's looking after the girls and she's trying to look after you as well. So it's in her interest to, when she talks about the girls, not put them in a bad light. So if you ask about a certain girl or certain girls, and she's going to lie a little bit to cover their tracks. And I'm just going to go through a few of these. There aren't too many, 7 or 8. And these are the sort of things you'll hear. So if you go as a newbie into a bar in Thailand and you ask one of these questions, then at least you know what might come back from her. So the first one, right, so you've got friendly with a girl, and you might have been taking her out before or just has a few drinks, but you've decided to go back into that bar, and she's not there, and the mamasan says, well, she will be back, just stay for a while and have a drink, but she'll be back. And you like this girl, so you decide to stay, but actually she doesn't come back all night. So what she's achieved by that is, if you did wait for an hour, 2 hours, whatever, during that time you'd have purchased a number of drinks, which is good for her. It gives her, you know, the bar sees that she's encouraging you to buy drinks, so it puts her in a good light. The other thing she's going to try and do, she's going to try and encourage you, because she knows that girl isn't coming back. So what she'll do while you're drinking, she'll come over and she'll be telling you little stories. You know, this girl's just started tonight and this girl's very good, and she'll be trying to encourage you to get with one of the other girls. And so if you go into a bar and the girl you like's not there, it's simple, go and have a drink somewhere else, and if you want to come back after that and look again, you can do that several times. At least you're not stuck or tied to that one bar, are you? Okay, another thing, this is quite an obvious one, another thing she might tell you, she might say, you know, the bar's been really quiet tonight, not many people have been in, I haven't had any drinks or tips, it's awful tonight. And the reason she'll tell you that is because that will encourage you to buy her a drink. Then you're like, you know, like, oh, it's been quiet, well, I'll buy you a drink, you know. And they're very clever, and that's why they'll tell everybody that. They'll tell you the bar's been very quiet even if it's full. They'll say it's just become full, it's been quiet all night, just got busy when you came in, funny enough. Okay, and the other thing is, if she's a particular girl she's trying to help out with, to get her a bit more business, she might say to you something like, you know, this girl, she's been so unlucky this week. You know, all the girls have been out and she hasn't been out for a week. She's not very popular for some reason. And you look at her and you think, well, she's quite pretty. I can't understand why that is. And she'll say, no, she hasn't, you know, nobody's paid her bar. She hasn't had any drinks, and she comes in dancing every night. So what that does, you'll look at her and you think, she looks quite nice, but because she's told you nobody's taken her out for a week, that's kind of quite appealing, isn't it? Because you think, oh, you know, I don't want to get into great detail here, you have to read between the lines, but I think you can guess what I mean. Okay, sometimes the Mamasan will kind of push you towards a certain girl. So all the girls are under her, so you'd think it doesn't really matter which girl, because she benefits from whatever girl, but she seems to push you towards one particular girl, and if you don't take up on that, then she'll come again and she'll tell you more compliments about that girl. The reason normally for that is that one particular girl will either be a family member of the Mamasan, or she'll be a very close friend, more close than the other girls. Maybe she comes from the same village, lives in the same street, I don't know. Or the other reason is the girl might, they share rooms, it's cheaper like that, isn't it? So normally two to a room, they rent a room, and perhaps this one girl shares a room with a Mamasan or a small apartment, so they're very good friends, and the girl will say, look, help me out tonight, I've got some bills, and this is what happens. So she'll encourage you. So she's pushing you onto one girl, you know what the reason is.
สถานีต่อไปนานา next station นานา
Okay, another thing they'll tell you to try and encourage you, if you haven't been in that bar too often, or a new girl starts, what they'll say, so let's just say you're a regular in that bar, you've been in Pattaya for 2 weeks, and then you've been in that bar sort of every other night, and you like the bar, and you go in one night and you notice there's a girl on stage that you haven't seen before, she's quite pretty. And the Mamasan will say to you, yeah, she's just come down from the village today. She's never been with a customer. She's never been to a hotel for drinks with anybody. And, I've taken her under my wing. She just arrived from the village, and, maybe you can help me out, and you're a nice guy. Maybe you can bar fine her and show what it's all about. And that's very, very appealing. Again, I don't want to get into details to why, but again, you're going to be very keen on that idea. And most of the time, the reason you haven't seen her is because she's been working in another bar or another area, and she's probably come from maybe she came from Bangkok to Pattaya, or Pattaya to Bangkok. So the Mamasan knows she can say she's just come from the village, because if she'd come from a bar down the street, she's running the risk of you finding out, her losing face, because you might have been in that bar and say, well, hang on a minute, I had a drink there last night and she was working there. So they're not stupid. If she's come down, like I say, from Bangkok to Pattaya, Pattaya to Bangkok or Phuket, wherever it is, and she knows that girl wasn't in town, then she'll tell you, she's just come down from a village, I've taken her under my wing, maybe you can help out and show what it's all about. And again, very, very appealing. So this is why they'll tell you these stories. So the Mamasan might notice you going regularly. You're a customer in her bar, but you're a regular in the bar across the road. So sometimes a Mamasan will go outside, have a cigarette maybe on the street, and she'll see you a few times go in this bar. Well, what they sometimes do is, when you eventually come to her bar for a drink, she'll just make up some stories about that bar. She won't kind of necessarily say she's seen you go in there, but she might say one or two of the girls she'd heard were sick, or she'd heard one of the girls who are working in this bar came from that bar and she witnessed them putting water in the whiskey or something like that. And that's just to kind of put you off going to that bar, and you go to her bar for obvious reasons. Okay, so something very, very similar here. I'm just referring to my notes. Something very similar is if she sees you're about to pay your bill, this isn't often, but I've seen it happen. So maybe the bar's closing at 3 a.m. It's now 12:30, and she can see you're preparing, you're getting ready. They can tell when you're getting ready to leave and you haven't asked for your bill, but you're preparing. She might come across and tell you, did you know it's a public holiday today? I've heard a lot of the bars will be closed down, but I've got very good connections with the police, and you're safe in this bar. If you stay here, then you can drink till 3 in the morning. Some other bars might remain open, but I don't know which ones, and some will definitely get closed down, and that's to kind of encourage you to stay in that bar. Okay, birthday parties. Now, you might notice a lot of the bars have birthday parties. Every night there seems to be a girl having a birthday party in there. And birthday parties are very, very popular in all the bars. And the reason is it encourages people into that bar. Normally when they put on a birthday party for a girl, they'll lay on a little bit of cheap food, some rice noodles, some chicken maybe. And if you go into that bar and you buy a few drinks, they'll let you have some of this food, which is normally okay. And so what they do, they'll tend to put these parties on. And what the Mamasan will do, if you're a bit of a spender, she likes you coming to her bar because you spend quite a bit of money. Any birthday parties that are coming up, she'll say, look, on Tuesday it's this girl's birthday, you know her, we want you to come along, all the girls like you, come to the birthday party. Makes you feel good, and you think, yeah, all right, I'll go there. But what happens is, you'll end up buying a lot of drinks for the birthday girl, and you just spend money unnecessarily if you weren't going to go there in the first place. So you might like one particular girl, you haven't actually been out with her yet, but you're not sure, and the Mamasan wants you to make your mind up a bit quicker than you are, because she wants that girl out and back and out again, as it were. So what she'll do, she'll notice that you're taking in an interest in one particular girl, and she'll kind of slide up beside you and she'll say, yeah, that girl's so very, very popular now. She goes out most nights, and there's one guy in particular here in wherever it is, he's practically in love with her. He'll probably be in tonight, I don't know. He normally, if he does come in, he always bar fine. As soon as he walks in the door, he pays the bar, and she'll come off stage and have a drink with him, then they go. And the reason she's telling you this is because if you're looking at her and you're thinking, yeah, I might have her come back to my hotel for drinks, then obviously, if you look and you think, oh, wow, somebody might walk through the door and beat me to it, then that's going to encourage you to pay her bar fine sooner than later. And that's why they tell you that one. Okay, so to finish off with, let's just, we'll just talk about a little bit respect and losing face and that sort of thing. So when you go into a bar, keep in mind, guys, the Mamasan in that particular bar, she will have a lot of respect from the girls. She will have a lot of respect from the bar, because without her, they can't operate, as I said at the beginning of the video. So if you go into a bar, just respect the Mamasan, you know, say hello. You don't have to go out of your way and kiss her feet. I mean, she's not a god, as it were, but she is in charge of those girls in that bar. And you know, they like to have a bit of face. You know, they like to look good in front of the girls. So if you walk in and you make a beeline for the Mamasan and you say hello to her and maybe you buy her a drink, that gives her a face. You know, the girls are up on stage, they can see you doing that, and that makes her feel good. And because of that, she'll look after you. And if there are any genuine new girls in or whatever, she'll let you know, and you know, you can go to her with any problems. So it's always worth kind of trying to keep in with the Mamasans. That's what an easier way of saying it. And then finally, if you do hook up with a girl and you're sitting there having a drink with her, and for some reason you look at the Mamasan, she's quite old, maybe she's got a few extra pounds on her or something like that, for heaven's sake, don't make any jokes to the girl you're sitting with, like, you know, oh, she's a big girl, or she looks a bit rough because she's old now, because I'll guarantee you that girl will be all smiles, and as soon as she goes to the toilet, she'll go to the Mamasan and she'll tell you what you said to that girl, and the Mamasan will know from that point that you've been running her down. So don't do it, guys. Just show her a bit of respect, and you don't have to engage with her too much. But it's just worth, you know, the whole point of these newbie videos, they're just to help you. If you haven't been to Thailand before, all the guys who have written to me and said, I'm going to Thailand after the pandemic, when you get to Thailand, it will just arm you with all this information. I'm not saying this is going to happen to every bar you go into every night. With all this information, hopefully, this will give you enough information to have a good holiday and you won't come unstuck. So I think that's three. There's some good information in these three videos. Now this is a third one to finish it off. I hope you found it useful, and thanks a lot, guys, for coming to the channel and listening to me again. And the next time I'll see you will be on the live stream.